Welcome to Vitality's Life of a Case. Today, we will take you through the process from when the case enters our lab. Every case begins with a prescription and a digital or physical impression. These impressions provide an imprint of each patient's mouth to develop a physical modeled replica of the bite.
My name is David. I'm the model department supervisor. What we do is we take the impressions that we get and we pour up models out of a dental stone to make a replica of the teeth. There's some precision to it. You know, they've got to be a good quality because this basically is the foundation of the whole crown procedure. So when we get a case, if it's a triple tray impression, which means it'll have teeth on both sides, we would take that and we would pour the opposing side first, which is opposite the crown. The opposing side, we would pour that in yellow stone. We use a debubbleizer spray. What that also does is help the surface tension, so the stone will flow through the impression better. And we would set it onto an articulator. The yellow stone is just an all-around lab stone. It doesn't have the definition that the white does. So the yellow is basically all we use it for is opposing models. Just the other half of the impression, which doesn't include the crown. So once that's set, we would pour the crown itself, and that's what's called a dab dye. So that is the first pour on the working side because we want that to be the most accurate for the margins. As soon as that is set up, we can remove it, and then we would pour a full model of that same side, of that crown side. And that is going to be used as a solid model. From there, we would use our lathes, we would clean up all the flashing, make it smooth. The white stone has got a lower expansion. It is actually a die stone is what they call it. And it's going to have good detail, and it's going to be a harder stone also. It's got a set time, but the longer it goes, then the harder the stone gets. So from today, it'll be so hard, but tomorrow it'll even be harder. What I do with trimming the margins is I grind that tissue away, exposing that margin that the dentist prepped in the mouth and captured with that impression. From there, it's pretty much done case, and it's ready to move on.
Once the stone model is complete, it's sent to the CAD design department to be digitized.
My name is Harrison George. I am the CAD and implant manager. After models are poured and the dies are trimmed, it will go over to our scanning department where our technicians will scan the working arch, the opposing arch, the bite of the two arches together, and the die. After they've digitized the physical model, it will go over to our design staff. At that point, we design whatever that model may be for, be it a crown, a bridge, or an implant. And then once the file is designed, it's ready for the milling department. If a doctor does take a digital intraoral scanner, those files and scan files actually go to our Florida location. Once they design the crown, they also will design a 3D model, which basically, using the doctor's scan, we make a 3D printed version. The 3D printer is filled with a liquid resin that's specially designed for 3D model applications because it's high detail. It raises this cassette platform and uses light to actually cure this resin one layer at a time. It's like the minute hand on a clock. It slowly will drag out of this liquid pool of resin a completed 3D printed model. After it's removed from the printer, it goes to final processing where it's bathed in an alcohol solution. That'll be the final 3D model form at that point.
Once the crowns have been designed, they are transferred to the milling department as saved files. Those files transition from digital assets to physical crowns to fit their corresponding models.
Hello, my name is David Sun. I am the milling manager here at Vitality Dental Arts. After we receive a case from our CAD department, an STL file is generated. You want to try to utilize as much of the spacing on the disc as possible. After we complete the nesting, a file gets generated. It just lets the machine know exactly where to cut and exactly what to cut. As soon as a disc has been completed out of the machine, and then it will enter our sintering room, where the technician there will remove each restoration out of the disc and then get it into our sintering ovens. And then the ovens will shrink them down about 20-25%. So we have our standard zirconia, which this is primarily used for posterior crowns. We also carry an aesthetic line, mainly being used for anterior restorations. We also have the option of using Blue Block Emax, and this can be used for anteriors and posterior crowns as well. We also are able to mill out wax blocks, which are used for Emax in the investing and pressing stage. When a patient requires an implant, we have the ability to mill out the custom implant abutment, whether it be in zirconia or titanium. After the crowns come out of the oven and are cooled off, they will be matched according to its case pan and moved to finishing or standing glazed.
Additional modifications will follow to ensure the best fit and presentation.
My name is Juan, and I'm the Quality Control Manager here at Vitality Dental Arts. Finishing is very, very important, mainly for the fact that once the tooth has been set down in the mouth, it needs to be sealed. Now what that means is you have where the doctor cuts in around the tooth. That part where that tooth meets the crown is the margin. If there's a gap between the crown and the margin, bacteria can go in there and reinfect the tooth. If we need to do a high polish, some doctors like high polish instead of a glaze, we have certain tools for that as well.
They're ready to be stained to match the shade of the patient's teeth.
My name's Jerry Giuliano Sr. The cases go to the technician, and they have to just make sure that everything's smooth, nothing's chipped, everything's intact, and then the technician will then take the material that we use to get it to the color that's needed. And what it is, it's a low fuse glazed material that is painted onto the structure. At that point, they would just take the shade tab, look at the crown and see how close it is. The whole goal is to try and match the shade that's prescribed. And then if the shade needs to be adjusted, they would have a palette of colors of liquid ceramic. Once it's painted on there, it's baked on. Colors are used to achieve that shade tab. And we want to try and match that crown exactly to what that tab looks like. We have all different translucencies. We have all different colors in there to try and achieve that.
You look at your shades, you look at the consistency of the glaze itself, the occlusal contacts, the biting surface, either for chewing or for biting into things, making sure everything's appropriate. As quality control, you look for these things. You can either say, let's cut it in or let's have it redesigned. Then you got contouring too as well. You want to make sure the tooth is shaped properly as well on the sides, making sure that what they're asking for is what they're going to receive.
Whatever it takes from that palette to that crown to match that tab, you have to do whatever it takes. And it takes a skill. Matching paint for your walls in your home, that's easy. Matching a tooth color, everybody's tooth is a completely different color. Everybody is different. That's our job as dental technicians, to try and achieve and make it as close as possible. And that's what we do at Vitality.
Here at Vitality, we pride ourselves in providing the best quality and care
to our dentists and their patients. As the dental industry continues to evolve,
we will follow.
For more information, visit vitalitydentalarts.com.